This is episode 655. And today we're going to be talking about life rules. Life rules are these invisible framework shaping our reality. These are the beliefs and values that we have in our unconscious mind. And so life rules, often unrecognized, always influential, are the internal guidelines that shape the way we think, act, and interpret the world. These are the filters by which we see things and which we respond to things. These personal axioms develop through a complex interplay of our experiences, our beliefs, our culture, backgrounds, influences, our behaviors, and the outcomes we achieve. So these life rules are formed when we start young and we start to explore the world, and our parents or our teachers or our religious leaders or our peers or somebody else tell us, do this, don't do that, this is okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Like big boys don't cry, it's better to be seen than heard. All of those things play a role in forming our life rules. And then as we mature, we live our life in accordance with these, mostly unconsciously. So we need to understand these life rules, right? And life rules are akin to, an operating system on a computer. They run in the background, quietly directing operations without drawing attention to themselves. What this is like is just these are these programs that have formed, and they keep forming because we have the core part of that belief or the core part of that life rule. And then as we live, we find more evidence to support it. So we keep building it and building it and building it. And pretty soon this program becomes so strong that, we ask ourselves, why does this happen to me? Why do I keep doing this? Why is this all of those are part of those life rules. And so if we're repeating things, and these life rules can be positive as well, right? So when we keep seeing, well, this is always easy. This is easy. That's a life rule. When you think things are difficult, that's a life rule. So these life rules, they are the shoulds, the musts, the oughts that govern our perceptions and our behaviors, often stemming from early life experiences, societal norms, education, and family teachings. And again, it's important to know where these come from, because as you want to progress and change these life rules, you have to understand that you may be up against 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of reinforcing a certain life rule. And we have to understand that you can't just change it in one moment, in 1 hour, in one day, in one week. It takes awareness and it takes practice and it takes diligence to change the life rules that may be holding you back. So the influence of life rules on our thoughts. Our life rules are the lens through which we view reality and actually view and interact with reality. They are the cognitive filters that select which information to pay attention to and which to discard and how to interpret it. It's like saying that mistakes are unacceptable. So the filters, this is really, really important because these life rules are like a tunnel. We look through life rules as a tunnel. Everything that happens outside that tunnel, we don't see. We literally have a scotoma or blind spots for the events, circumstances that go opposite to our life rules. So we literally will not see it. And this is because our life rules tell us what's important to us and they reinforce the life rules. So if you have a life rule of mistakes are unacceptable, you are not going to see that, you are not going to be able to embrace that mistakes are just a part of learning. Mistakes help me grow. Those things will not even come to your mind if you think mistakes are unacceptable. Another life rule example may be that success means I have to work hard. And to work hard, I have to say yes to everything. And so this example really leads to a lot of stress at an entry level position. Sure, we want to work hard and we want to be a go-getter. We want to say yes to everything. But as you progress up the corporate ladder to, a manager, director, VP, saying yes to everything doesn't serve you anymore. But if there's a life rule that says, in order to be successful, I must work hard. In order to work hard, I must say yes to everything. Then you're going to be fighting a life rule that is programming you, that is directing you what to say and how to do it. And this will then lead to stress. And we wonder, how can I get rid of all this? Well, the best thing to do is start to examine your life rules. So the impact on actions, right? The thoughts influenced by our life rules invariably translate to actions. This is that formula, the TFAR. Thoughts lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. And the mistakes are unacceptable rule may lead to avoidance of challenging tasks, of procrastination or overwork to ensure error-free outcomes, right? If we think that mistakes are unacceptable, we will hold off doing anything because we don't want to be found that we made a mistake. So it's better to do nothing than to do something and possibly have a mistake. But this is the life rule that drives that thought, the actions, and the results. And so when we say that, and again, I gave the other example of when we have that belief of mistakes are unacceptable, we can actually not take any new tasks on. We'll procrastinate. We won't step out of our comfort zone because we're afraid we're going to make a mistake. In the long run, this can hinder personal and professional growth tremendously. I hope you can see that, right? This particular example where mistakes are unacceptable, if you want to grow as a person, whether professionally or personally or preferably both, you're not going to step out of your comfort zone because you're going to be afraid of making a mistake, and you actually will stay where you are. And then you wonder why you're not getting promoted, you're not getting the raises, because you're not challenging yourself, because you have this life rule that says mistakes are unacceptable. So as an individual, so as people avoid risk and engaging in things that they fear of failure. That this is specifically about the mistakes are unacceptable. So resulting outcomes, the results we achieve can often be traced back to our life rules, right? Again, TFAR, thoughts lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results, or lack of results. We start with the results and reverse engineer it, we can get ourselves back to the thought which percolates up from our life rule. Following life rules that promote resilience, such as perseverance pays off, can lead to positive outcomes like career advancement or personal achievement. So again, we want to realize that there are positive or empowering life rules and disempowering life rules based on what you want to go, where you want to go, what your goals are personally and professionally. Conversely, restrictive or negative life rules can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy where one's fear of failure actually creates failure due to a lack of trying or giving up too soon. And this, again, is just based on the example that making mistakes is unacceptable. But we can look at this, again, using the TFAR. So we have this life rule that sits way in the background and it percolates up to a thought, and then that thought gives rise to a feeling or an emotion, which gives rise to an action or an inaction, which produces a result or no result at all. And this is where we want to really start looking at how to change these life rules to support where we want to go. Changing the life rules is first we need to identify what is this life rule. Again, it does success mean I have to work harder? Well, what does harder mean? Well, harder means I have to say yes to everything. Maybe that's not such an empowering life rule after all, but we have to identify it. And then we evaluate it. Like, is this true? Does this work for me? Is it holding me back or is it helping me move forward? So we want to identify it, evaluate it for its potential of empowerment or disempowerment. And then we can modify it. And this is where coaching comes in extremely helpful, is to help put a plan in place in modifying or replacing a limiting life rule. And again, we have to remember that it's going to take time. It's not going to happen in one time. There could be mental rehearsal involved. There could be affirmations. There could be journaling. There could be looking for times when when that life rule was not in play. It can be proving yourself wrong about that life rule. So the modification can take many, many shapes. And then we implement it. Once we modify it, we act as if that new life rule is running our life. So the life rule is like a new one is planting a seed in our unconscious, but then we want to take action as if it's true, and then we'll meet in the middle, right? As that seed grows, we'll have better thoughts, we'll have better emotions, and then those will meet the actions that we're taking. And then we evaluate our outcomes, right? Is this outcome in alignment with my new life rule? If not, we maybe have to go back and do some more modification, implementation, but we have to review the results like, okay, it's working. Even if it's 1% different than it was before, it's a 1% difference. And that's what we want to pay attention to and build on the successes. So just keep in mind, life rules are powerful operating below the level of our consciousness. They're in the background. They're just ticking away, running our life. And we are unaware of it. Yet they have a tangible impact on every aspect in our life. They actually help produce the results of our life. You look at your reality, you look at your life, you look at your results. 90% of that is coming from your unconscious life rules. And by bringing these rules into light, evaluating their validity, and adjusting them when necessary, we can exert greater control over our thoughts, actions, and results we obtain. Basically, the C of mental strength that I'm referring to here is control. When we can control how we observe this, when we can control the results, when we start to control the aspects that are associated with these life rules, then we will be able to change them. And remember, the goal is not to discard all life rules, right? Not all are bad, but to cultivate a set of life rules that empower and support our journey towards the life we aspire to lead. Again, we have to have a goal. We have to know where we're going. And then we go, what type of life rules would I need to support this outcome? And then start to write them down, have affirmations, mental rehearsal, and then start to act as if you are living in accordance with that life rule. If you like this podcast and want to see the show notes, please visit warriormindcoach.com for more information. While you're over there, you can see some blog posts, hear some more podcasts, and find out how to contact me for a breakthrough session. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.